Today, we are going to talk about a biological protocol for rewriting your personal reality. And the tool we're going to use for this incredibly complex neurological surgery, it's probably sitting on your desk right now, a simple pen. All right, let's get into it. This right here, this is the whole game. The idea is that everything in your life, your bank account, your fitness level, your relationships, it's all just a printout of the story you have hardwired into your brain about who you are. You literally cannot outperform your own identity. Okay, so if your life is just a printout, how in the world do you change the software that's running the whole program? And it's not about wishful thinking or just wanting it. No, the source material for this explainer lays out a very specific, almost mechanical process. Let's just really hammer this idea home for a second. If your internal setting is, I'm someone who struggles with money, you will subconsciously find ways to create that struggle no matter what's happening on the outside. Your reality is literally trapped by the limits of your own self-concept.
So why can't we just decide to change, right? Why does setting a New Year's resolution feel so powerful on January 1st, but almost always ends in failure by February? Well, it's because we're basically declaring war on our own biology. And spoiler alert, that is a war you are destined to lose.
The source material calls us lazy creatures, and you have to understand that's not an insult, not at all. It's a biological fact. I mean, for our ancestors, conserving energy was the key to survival. So our brains are designed to be brutally efficient, which is exactly why willpower, which creates friction and burns a ton of energy, is such a deeply flawed strategy for change. You know, we like to think we have one unified mind, but it helps to break it down into two parts. You've got a boss and an employee. The planner, that's your conscious mind, it makes these grand promises. But the doer, your subconscious, it couldn't care less about promises. It only operates on hard data and what's happening right now. And for most of us, these two, they do not trust each other at all. And the snooze button is the absolute perfect example of this broken trust. Your planner says, okay, tomorrow I'll wake up at 6 a.m. It's a simple contract. But when that alarm goes off, what happens? You hit snooze. And in that one tiny moment, you've just given undeniable proof to your subconscious that your word means nothing. If it can't trust you to get out of bed, why on earth would it ever believe you when you say, I'm a millionaire? So here's the deal. We need to rebuild that internal trust. We have to find a way to reprogram the subconscious that just completely bypasses the friction of willpower. And this brings us to the core of the protocol. The mantra is simple. Don't just think about the change you want. You have to physically ink it into existence. Okay, I can hear the skeptics already. A pen, seriously, it's 2024, I have a laptop. But this isn't about being old-fashioned. The source material leans really heavily on neuroscience to explain why the physical act of writing is a completely different and, frankly, far more powerful neurological event than typing. Research from the Norwegian University of Science and Technology shows this crystal clear. When you type, the movement is uniform. It's just a simple tap, over and over. Your brain kind of treats it as shallow, disembodied data. But handwriting? Oh, that forces what's called sensory-motor integration. It makes your visual, motor, and sensory parts of your brain all work together. It literally lights the brain up like a Christmas tree. This whole process creates something the source calls proprioceptive hooks. Think about it. Writing the letter A feels physically different than writing a B. Your brain creates a unique physical memory for every single shape, giving the new information actual hooks to hang on to, which makes it feel far more real and memorable. It makes it sticky. And here it is. Here is the secret sauce. The rhythmic, fine motor movement of just writing with a pen actually shifts your brain into alpha and theta wave states. Now, these are the states of relaxation, of dreaming, of high suggestibility. So what you're doing essentially is hacking your own biology to open a direct line to your subconscious. You're putting your brain into administrator mode where you can actually get in and rewrite the source code. All right, enough theory. Let's get into the how. Let's see how this all builds into an actual, actionable plan. Because this isn't just about the writing itself. It's about priming your brain and your body with a series of non-negotiable actions that build a rock-solid foundation of proof. This morning routine is super rigid for a reason. Every single step is a small promise you keep to yourself. Waking up on time proves you're reliable. Getting outside for fresh air and what they call optic flow, which really just means letting your eyes scan the horizon, it wakes up your brain. The walk gets your blood flowing. By the time you actually sit down to write, you've already stacked up undeniable evidence that you do what you say you're going to do. So now for the writing itself. It's a two-part Trojan horse. First, you write the receipt. You just confirm the facts of what you just accomplished. Your brain can't argue with it. It's true. Then, once you've established that truth, I am consistent, you piggyback the new identity statements right on top of it. Your brain starts to encode I am wealthy with that same feeling of undeniable truth as I woke up on time. And this is the fundamental shift. So much self-help stuff is based on just wishing or pretending. This protocol is about earning your new identity. You build an airtight case in the court of your own mind with cold, hard data, and then you introduce the new programming. So you do this one time and you're cured, right? Yeah, of course not. This is where we gotta be realistic. You have spent decades wiring your current identity into your brain. Rewiring it is a biological process, and that takes time. The source material cites research that suggests for a deep identity-level change, it can take up to 254 days. Now, I know that sounds like a massive commitment, but you are physically restructuring the most complex object in the known universe, your brain. It deserves that kind of time. But what happens if you miss a day? I mean, life happens. Well, the source offers a really crucial rule. Do not miss 2 days in a row. See, missing one day is just an outlier. It's a mistake. Missing two? That's the beginning of a new negative habit. So the goal isn't perfection, it's just relentless persistence. Get back on track the very next morning. As you do this, I promise you, a voice in your head is going to scream that this is silly, it's a waste of time, it's not working. That's not you. That is the immune response of your old identity. It is fighting for its life. The source calls this an extinction burst, and feeling that resistance is actually the ultimate confirmation that you are hitting the right nerve. It means it's working. So the key takeaway is this: action comes before the feeling. You don't wait until you feel confident to act. You use these small, consistent, physical actions, the walking, the writing, to literally generate the internal state of a new identity. And that's really what I want to leave you with. If your current identity is just a story that your brain has memorized, groove by groove, synapse by synapse, what happens to that old story when you stop rehearsing it, and instead you pick up a pen and you physically write a new one, letter by letter, every single morning? Well, the only way to find out is to try.